There must be war. God wills it!
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Unpopular Opinion, and today, guys, we are going to be reviewing the 1970 Clint Eastwood movie, Mules For Sister Sara.
Jesus Christ.
So this movie came out at a time right before Clint Eastwood played his legendary character of Dirty Harry, and right after he played his career-defining role of the Man with No Name in the Dollars trilogy. So this film is a Western war hybrid that takes place in Mexico during the Second French intervention in Mexico.
Excuse me, Monsieur Hamilton. A people who know how to sing. The Mexicans.
But the catch is, in this movie, Clint Eastwood has to aid a nun in her struggle to aid the Mexicans in their battle against the French army.
What the hell's a nun doing out here?
Now, overall, the movie's not really that popular outside of Western fans or Clint Eastwood fans, but enough people like it for it to be recognized.
Ah, las mañanitas. For birthdays and weddings and whatnot.
Now, overall, I was actually really disappointed with this movie. Now, the concept of the movie is really cool, and it also features a time in history or a historical event that, in my opinion, is really fascinating, really interesting, and does not get the attention that it deserves. But honestly, I wasn't thrilled by this movie for a few reasons. Firstly, there were anachronisms in the weapons. I mean, that's not a huge damper, but if you realistically look at the movie, a lot of the weapons used were not period correct and are historically inaccurate.
Oh, that's real cute.
So it's worth noting that the firearms used in the movie, you wouldn't have actually seen those in Mexico when the Mexicans were fighting against the French.
Monsieur, I'm General Leclerc.
Well, my name's Hamilton, General. Text to my friends.
How do you do, monsieur?
Also, the movie's pretty boring. It doesn't really have a lot of exciting scenes, and there was minimal action throughout the film. It opens up with the shootout, and the middle does feature some exciting scenes, nothing crazy. But the majority of the action is reserved for the final battle scene where Clint Eastwood is duking it out alongside the Mexicans when they're fighting against the French. Now, it was really cool to see Clint Eastwood in a Wild West war zone where he had to avoid engagements with French soldiers. But a huge opportunity was missed by not having our hero, Clint Eastwood, face off against Napoleon III's army. That would have been super cool if we saw that more in the movie, which we didn't. The ending battle wasn't anything great. The standoff with those pagan Indians wasn't exciting.
It's about a Protestant person, not a Catholic one.
And that scene where Clint shoots the dynamite on the train bridge and it blows up, that didn't do it for me. And then the opening shootout really wasn't that great. It was kind of boring. And in terms of performances, I don't think Clint Eastwood did a good job in this movie. It kind of seemed like he phoned it in, to be honest, and he was relying on cliches and stereotypes that you see throughout his career.
Lady, if you weren't a nun, I'd let you save your own bacon.
This wasn't a convincing or compelling Clint Eastwood character. So he was a bit stale in this movie, and honestly, the dynamics between him and Shirley MacLaine, the titular Sister Sara, was really uncomfortable for me to watch.
So you're not married?
Nope.
Want to be?
Nope.
The amount of times that Clint was hitting on her and flirting with her, it was just awkward.
Don't you want a woman of your own?
What for? To ask me to quit drinking, quit gambling, and to bitch about her aches and pains all day? No, thanks.
But surprise, surprise, and I'm being sarcastic here, Sarah's not actually a nun, but she's a prostitute who disguised herself as a nun so she could safely go through the country without being detected.
You made a sucker out of me?
I didn't want to. You forced me to.
Now, this is a strange thing for Clint Eastwood movies, but a lot of Clint's leading ladies are either literal whores or slutty scam artists, which is kind of a drag because Clint Eastwood is like ideally a great role model for young men, and he's someone that boys can look up to as like a masculine figure of, hey, this guy's tough, you should emulate that. But in a lot of his movies, a lot of the women he gets into relationship with are whores. A pretty good example of that would be, let's look at the Any Which Way But Loose and then the sequel. Clint Eastwood's leading lady, Sandra Locke, is a con artist who sleeps with a bunch of guys and then she dupes them and then steals money from them. But Clint Eastwood's character is willing to overlook this and he still wants to be in a relationship with her, which to me is crazy. In the movie The Gauntlet, which is very underrated by the way, Clint Eastwood is a cop and he has to protect a prostitute prostitute, but then he ends up falling for her, and then him and the prostitute get into a relationship. Like, the dude gets into a relationship with a hooker, and then in Paint Your Wagon, he and Lee Marvin share a wife. I've noticed a pattern here that this is just something that happens in a lot of Clint Eastwood movies. And I really don't like how this movie has the two pair up like this. Now, some things were cool about the movie. I mean, the music was great, the direction was solid, and I love the landscape shots, which showed off the Mexican countryside. That was beautiful. And another thing I like is this movie could potentially cultivate interest in a part of history that I think is very fascinating and that, in my opinion, needs to be talked about more or should get more attention. Because honestly, I can talk for about an hour on the French invasion of Mexico. It's a really cool, really fascinating subject. And it's a standout in Mexican history. I mean, that's why we have Cinco de Mayo. But that's my overall opinion on the movie Two Mules for Sister Sara. It's a cool premise in a cool historical time, but overall it is a disappointment, and it's one of the weaker entries on Clint Eastwood's resume. So guys, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Well, comment below to let me know. Guys, if you like this video, then do me a massive favor, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, give me a follow on Instagram. That will be linked in the description below, and that's all I have for you. So I'll see you on the next Unpopular Opinion.